institutional framework. We are going to look at how we can manage with our listener resources. We are going to see how we can leverage on technology to understand, or for people to understand, that technology can help us to do away with some of the corrupt practices. Thank you very much.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Sustainability of the program. Can you tell us how impactful and sustainable? You have alluded to many areas. Tell us how sustainable and impactful that these will be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. There's a roadmap that has started from the National Action Plan 1. Today we are in National Action Plan 5. And I think that if we go with that roadmap, I think we can achieve success. Thank you very much.
Chairman, let me wish the nominee the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will. I think I'll go there. Come on. Yeah, I'm good. I will go to the Honorable, the second subject matter. Honorable Chidwa. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable nominee, congratulations on your nominations.
Thank you very much, my brother.
I have got a few questions for you. I believe you would be able to give me the responses needed. So, Honorable nominee, I believe you know there has been significant work done by the previous administration in transforming the public sector. And the key tool that has been used is through what we call e-governance or digitalization. And I'm sure you are conversant with the name when we talk about digitalization. This has led to successes like the Ghana Gov platform, as we know, the paperless port system, GRA payments, which is digitalized, and so on and so forth. All these have been done to make sure the public sector works, and it has even gone beyond the public sector, like we have the national ID and so on and so forth. Do you believe that digitalization and e-governance is indeed the way forward to transforming the public sector? Do you believe in that? And if you do, what will be the new frontiers for you? Because a lot of work has been done already in terms of e-governance. If you believe in it as the way to transform the public sector, what would be your own new frontiers? I want us to hear from you. Which areas, what are you going to do in terms of e-governance if you believe it is the way forward? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that question. Yes, I do. I do believe that digitalization is the way to go. Yes, some work has been done. The gift-make system, the current payment system, but that is not enough. I am here to strengthen what has started already, to strengthen all the digital platforms that has been started already. You know that there are offices or there are some departments. For example, Raj. They don't even have enough computers. They don't have workable computers that you can just transfer one file to the other. So it is my responsibility to continue from where you started and make the public sector efficient, modern, and robust. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I
Now,
guess...
a second or you follow up?
yeah, a follow-up, a clarity, more or less. So Honorable Nominee, thank you. I just need a bit of clarity. You know, you talked about getting computers for certain departments and so on. Yeah, computers, they are basic to work with, you know, in this modern world. But I wanted to understand really, like I said, we have the Ghana Gov platform, we have the paperless port system, we have the GRA payments now, Digitalize, and these are the programs. Even if you go further, talk about national ID, mobile, whatever, operability, and all these. What would be your own new channels? What are you going to do? Computers are basics. What is on your mind? What have you planned in terms of e-governance? What is on your mind?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I cannot work alone. I have to work with the communication ministry. I have to work with other government ministries and agencies so that the work will be done. Thank you. So there's going to be a collaboration between agencies, ministries, and other public service offices. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, that's your response. Not fully convinced. I mean, maybe you need to think through to...
Honorable, please go to your next question. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Honorable Nominee, my second question, you know there's a budget that is scheduled to be presented soon. We've heard of 11th March. I'm sure you are aware. So this budget definitely is going to allocate funds to various ministries, agencies, and what have you of the government to promote their programs for the year. Your ministry, which seeks to reform the rest of the ministries, okay, what comes to mind when you anticipate such a budget reading coming up? What sort of item, budget lines or budget items would you expect to be aligned to your reformist ministry? In your own view, what would you require to be able to succeed in your new reformist sector? What really do you think that should be allocated to you? I'm not talking about numbers, but in terms of focus areas, what do you expect to be allocated, to you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, Honourable Member, know that the nominee is not here to basically tell us what is to come in the budget. Her responsibility this morning is to basically tell us how competent she is for the job that she's going to do. So let's not make it too technical, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In fact, the question I'm asking is really innocent. It's not technical at all. What I'm saying is you are coming into a ministry, a reformist ministry, and you have a plan on your mind. I'm sure once you were called and informed that you are going to be given this ministry, then you would have a plan on your mind that I want to do A, I want to do B, I want to do C. All these plans, you would need some budgetary allocations to promote them. So that is what I'm asking you. What has been on your mind, that the areas that you want to promote? I'm not saying tell us how much you want the minister to give to you or whatever. Which areas do you think, if the minister supported you through the budget reading, would help you to promote your reformist agenda? That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question, I believe that my brother understands that my ministry is a minister of state in charge of public sector reforms. My budget is coming from the presidency, and I trust the finance minister that he will do a good job to make sure that my ministry and the presidency has enough allocation to prosecute our programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. So, I mean, a follow-up, I believe. So if you go to the ministry, yes, you are trusting the minister to do a good job to anticipate all your plans and give you something to run your ministry. What if, at the end of the day, all your plans, nothing really matches to what is in the budget, because you are only hoping that it's done, but you don't seem to have your own plans as to what really you would need funds to do. What if at the end of the day, nothing really is allocated to support the areas that you want to use to reform the entire government ministries?
Thank you very much. I don't think that His Excellency the President John Mahama will appoint me as a minister designate and will not inform the finance minister to make allocation that is necessary for the running of the ministry. I believe that the discussions have gone on, and therefore I trust that my office or my ministry will be given the necessary allocation to run the programs of the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a last question, I believe. Last question, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable nominee, your ministry is really one that can make the difference in terms of the entire public sector. Okay. Do you believe in performance-based accountability, i.e., certain performance objectives, certain performance targets for every civil servant, and ensuring that their various ministries assess them, and at the end of the day, based on balanced scorecard, either promote or demote or reward them or otherwise? Do you believe in such performance-based accountability for the entire civil service? Is this something that you are ready to drive?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, if you go to a ministry and you are working with people, there must be performance. There must be appraisals. I want to see motivation and productivity. And you can't get productivity without motivation. The two of them go together. So once we are interested in productivity, we should be able to reward people who are working well. And how do you reward people? You have to use appraisal system. You have to use monitoring and evaluation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a follow-up. Thank you. So how would you go about it? Where would you start from at all? It's a big space. You're telling us, given the timelines, what is your plan to get it starting and getting it working practically?
Thank you very much. We'll be looking at key performance indicators. We'll be looking at giving them a good working environment. We'll be looking at training and capacity building. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, please go ahead, follow up. Yeah, go ahead.
Chairman, thank you very much. Madam Nominee, as you may be aware, the previous government started some reforms in the public sector. Indeed, if I recall, there was a minister also in charge of public sector reforms. Is your assurance to this committee that you start from where they left off? Is that your assurance to the committee?
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think you've exhausted your questions. Yeah. No, you, please. Go ahead, Honorable Roger, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, my dear sister.
Thank you, big sis.
Your ministry is the public sector reform area. I want you to tell me what public sector reform means.
Public sector reform means interventions that will bring out efficiency, effectiveness, and responsive public sector service and public sector service delivery. Thank you.
My second question is, in your response to one of the questions, you mentioned GIFMIS. And I know very well that GIFMIS is a system that has come up to help actually in monitoring and curbing the issue of some leakages, losses, and what have you. But if you go back to our districts, you realize that at a point in time, there are some of the activities or some payments that are normally supposed to be made. And the officers there will tell you, especially budget, they will tell you that unless they get a response from Accra, they will not be able to make that payment. They have to get the input from Accra. With the reform, what will you do uniquely to ensure that people in Busiga will not be waiting for a response from Accra before they are able to input and make payments, especially when there are very urgent matters to be dealt with?
Thank you very much, my sister. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. Some of those issues could be technical, it could be human. In my own way, we have to develop the infrastructure in such a way that things can be done through digitalization. And I want to work with the Communication Ministry to make sure that digitalization agenda is continued. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is a follow-up. Will you consider decentralization of the system to make sure that everything is done in the district?
Thank you very much. That is one of the pillars of the OGP that we have, and it's already in the system. And I was asked the same question, whether I would like to continue what is already in the system and even make it more robust. And I said yes. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my second question, what will you do deliberately to change the structures that are being used in some of the public sectors where you realize that, oh, maybe this activity should have been taken at such and such a level or by such and such a group of people, and yet where it is for now is not the best? What will you do deliberately?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think we thought of bureaucracies, and I already told this committee that bureaucracies have been there, but it is time that we do continuous engagement with the sectors involved so that we come to understand ourselves that things can be done differently using technology. It is easier to use technology and it's faster to use technology. Again, I will engage the other sector ministers so that we have a stakeholder engagement. We see how we can streamline things in the various agencies and the various services. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my third question. Most businesses mostly being run by our women, especially petty trading across borders, you realize that the women sometimes have a challenge of cross-border sales going and what have you. Because you are going to bring about reforms, and most of the ministries, you actually have the opportunity of dealing with them. I know it's under trade. What will you do to ensure that our women do not suffer the issue of stop at a border, waste time, pay monies, so on and I mean, they have a whole lot of challenges. Let's take it Togo and Busiga, or Togo and Burkina, or better still, Timpani and Burkina. We know, and Togo, we know we are in Ghana, we are very close to Togo. Businesses are being run mostly by our women. What will you do deliberately between the two countries to make sure that our women do not continue suffering?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question has to do with a lot of ministers, sector ministers. It has to do with the Minister of Trade, it has to do with the Minister of Interior, it has to do with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So we'll engage, so that if there is an opportunity to engage the other countries, to streamline things and make things easier for our women, I will be very grateful. And I will do that as and when I am approved. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I am done, but there's a little follow-up. My follow-up is this. You see, I am saying this because at the end of the day, most of these women, as I have mentioned, are not mostly financially sound. I know we have Maslow, maybe we have other agencies that can support in whichever way. Will you consider discussing the issues of giving support to these women to enable them run their petty businesses?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What my sister just said is a concern to every woman in this country, that we want to help ourselves. And I believe that during the campaign, all of us, including my sister, use the fact that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has promised to give us a women bank. So I will try as much as possible to engage the gender minister to see how we can help our fellow women to have something, to put food on the table of their children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I have no any question, my mantra, you see, I won't leave it. If I leave it, it will look as if I don't love you or I don't like you. So I will say, for those who want to always hear and want to take it and put on TikTok, make me more popular, I will say congratulations and bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Hajia. I will now come to my left and yield the floor to Honorable Patrick Boama. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Hey, Ajay. Honorable, congratulations.
Thank you, my brother.
A lot of key personalities in this country have been made to handle your ministry, where you are going to be. Dr. Kwesi Ndum, Usueche, Honorable Kujo from Efia. It's a very important sector that has received a lot of funding from the World Bank. A lot. And I'm sure during your briefing, you were told about the public sector reform for results project, which the World Bank gave the government of Ghana $35 million for some 16 very important agencies of state. I'm sure you've received some briefing on that. A lot of the frustrations Ghanaians go through some of these institutions, the DVLA, the passport office, the ministries, department, agencies, to enable them achieve some basic demands from those agencies, but yet they go through some serious frustrations. That is why I believe the President has also followed the cue from President Kufuor, President Mills, and President Mahama to make you a minister. What are some of the key deliverables that you want us to remember you for as Minister for Public Sector Reforms within a space of 4 years to have achieved during your tenure? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that question. I think my brother also forgot that the senior minister was taking care of the secretariat before now. I've gone to the secretariat, I've seen the work that he has done, and when I was asked this question, I answered in the affirmative that I will continue the work. Mr. Chairman, in my own way, I will go to the ministry, if approved, to follow what has been done. I've even seen the report where some work has been done. Some, they have achieved some results have not been achieved, and some has partially been achieved. So in my own way, I am going to make sure that I leverage on technology so that there will be transparency in that ministry, there will be accountability, there will be open participation of the citizens, and there will be engagement of government and the civil society. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me refer you to Article 198 of the Constitution. I don't know if you have your Constitution with you. It's a very straightforward question. It says...
Honorable Member, is that a follow-up or is it a new question?
Oh, Lydia, this is my second question.
Right. I just want to be sure. Thank you.
Chairman, it says that except as otherwise provided in this Constitution or any other law not inconsistent with this Constitution, the Public Services Commission shall not be subject to the control or direction of any person or authority in the performance of its functions. I know you are going to be working with the Public Services Commission. And can you assure the country that you are going to give them the independence that they require to recruit the right persons within the public service space? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think this question was asked before by, it was a follow-up from Honorable Dafiama. And I mentioned that I, going to that ministry, is going to continue the structures that are already there to go with government policy and to make sure that the areas that need to be strengthened are strengthened. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We pray so, since the Chief Whip, who is the Chief Counsel for Re-examination, has been very good to you. Can we look at page 2 of your CV? 1987 to 89, new job in secondary technical school, blank. And 2017 to 2020, managing director of Nyonyini Commercials Limited. Why is that space blank? Because from there you proceeded to Sandeman Secondary Technical for your O-levels. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I went through the 5-year system, and I started my secondary school education in New Driving. I did 2 years in New Driving, and I continued in Sandeman Secondary School. That is where I got my O-level. And then Norian Commercials. Norian Commercials is a private-owned construction company that I was given the opportunity to manage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have known you since you came to Parliament, and I want to tell you, you're a very honest person that I've encountered, and I wish you the very best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Umar, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Nominee, congratulations.
Thank you, my brother.
I want to proceed on the question on change. You know, most people do not like change. And you are coming to a ministry where you will be implementing certain changes that will improve government delivery, and especially to most of our deprived areas and remote in the country. My question is, what will you do to the bureaucratic, those who don't want the changes, especially the bureaucrats within the ministries? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the public services, the bureaucracy is there. It is an open secret that everybody knows that there is bureaucracy in the system. And if you want to have a change, you should engage them. Because there are people who actually benefit from the bureaucratic system. They benefit from the status quo. So before you can change them, you have to orientate them as to the reason why you want to change. You have to communicate your goals clearly to them. You have to orientate them. You have to take them through capacity building so that they will understand the reason why you want to change. Thank you.
I'm satisfied. My second question is, have you received any briefing by the Secretariat? And if you do, or if you did, what are the challenges that you will be facing head on the very day you assume office?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The challenges are many. There's limited resources to that ministry. There's bureaucracy, corruption. There is a lot of paperwork that we need to understand why there's a lot of paperwork. And even the scarce resources that they have at the ministry is not enough. Apart from funding, the resources there are not enough for them to work. Thank you.
This is a follow-up, and it's about the bureaucracy and paperwork. Will you consider reducing paperwork at the ministries?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Thank you. Last question. Have you heard the word OGP, which is Open Government Partnership Initiative?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
How will you ensure the effective implementation of the action plan, OGP action plan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You look at the indicators in the action plan, and we have 16 pillars. That comes under 4 headers. And one is transparency, one is accountability, citizen participation, and technology and innovation. Thank you.
I wish you well. Thank you.
I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. I think I will come to Chief, Minority Chief, or you will that too. Reluctantly, yes, yeah, just one.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Congratulations, Honorable Nominee.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Nominee, I saw that you copiously made reference to the Constitution and in particular Article 190. So you gave the list of public services. I also have cited Article 191, and with the permission of the Honorable Chair. So 191B, with the permission of the Honorable Chair, if I may read, it says that a member of the public services shall not be dismissed or removed from office or reduced in rank or otherwise punished without just cause. Against this backdrop, we have a letter from the Chief of Staff asking that public servants who have gone through both clearances, both financial clearance, technical clearance, especially you having a background as a nurse, and 15,200 nurses, and other ones in Exim Bank, in NEIP, 11,000 teachers are being asked to go home without just cause.
Honorable, I think you came in late. This question has already been asked. So please go straight to.
But I'm only placing emphasis. And
It's been asked.
I watched, so I know. They are not one and the same, but if Chairman thinks differently. So this is my question. Do you think that their revocation has a just cause?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I've answered the question before, and I believe that what I said was I will only be working there at the ministry as a matter of government policy. Thank you.
Okay, so Honorable Minority Chief Whip, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, let me join colleagues to congratulate our nominee, Honorable Lydia. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I am enjoying your understanding and knowledge of the public sector. I'm enjoying it so far. My first observation is you realize that if you look at the antecedent and the evolution, pre-independence, post-independence, and even where we had military intervention in our governance system, there have been some good public sector reforms. And many of them dovetail into the implementation of the EPR, Economic Recovery Program, PAMSCAS, Structural Adjustment Program, and you have alluded to all of these. What, in your estimation, is the missing link so far? The missing link in terms of our drive as a nation to reform our public sector?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A number of them, I'm just going to mention one. One of them is political will. As a country, we should have a dialogue so that whatever plan we have, for example, the NAP5, National Action Plan, if successive government will continue from where one starts, I believe it will help us. And we cannot just do that if we begin to think that this is Party A and Party B. We should have a national dialogue, a national plan that whoever comes to the ministry will continue from where the other one have started. Well, I can see with the little briefing that I've had from the ministry that because of lack of political will, some people are employed due to favoritism and nepotism. And some people are also there who are not supposed to be there. Thank you very much.
You spoke to dialogue. Government that have come and gone. The holding of a dialogue has always been a prominent feature. There's always been a prominent feature. So if you are speaking to dialogue as, want of a better expression, a challenge, what do you really mean? And what do you intend to do differently in the context of dialoguing?
Thank you very much. In the context of dialoguing, I want to employ all sectors of all agencies of the sectors so that we can sit down and find out the missing link. 2, government alone cannot do the reforms. We need the private sector to be part and parcel as a stakeholder for public sector reforms. Thank you.
Honorable Nominee, you do know, as I also do, that your policy of 24-hour economy is become very popular. Indeed popular. So, but I had then candidate, John Dramani Mahama, then candidate, who said that the 24-hour economy is optional. It's an optional policy to do or not to do. In that context, also carrying into the future that you are going to, as you define public sector reform, efficiency, effectiveness, digitalization, etc. What will be the relevance of your 24-hour economy, and how do you intend to buy into this?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The 24-hour economy, His Excellency said to do or not to do. It's becoming his policy. Wherever his policy direction is, I will simply follow that policy direction. If he's going to do the 24-hour economy, it will do us good. Me and you know that we are going to employ people in the security services who will take care of us when we will take care of businesses in the night. I know you are going to tell me that, oh, we have a lot of security personnel, but if we add more, it will help us. As to whether he will do or he will not do, it's a government policy. Like you people had in your manifesto the last time, one village, one dam, one district, one factory. It was your campaign message, it was your policy. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Sorry.
Honorable nominee, I think we should watch some of the words. You people, it's unparliamentary. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I withdraw that.
Please, Honorable, please.
Honorable nominee, I think you are forgiven. Colleagues have forgiven you. In one of your statements, you said if, and you premise your statement that if the President, His Excellency, will implement a 24-hour economy. I find that very questionable because I know His Excellency has appointed a substantive officer at the presidency who is in charge of the 24-hour economy. So the question of if doesn't come in at all. Is it the case that you are not aware or you are not sure the 24-hour economy will work? Which is which?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. In your submission, your first submission, you mentioned that the President said to do or not to do. So that if that I used was premised on to do or not to do. Thank you.
She defined public sector reform earlier. You recall you defined that, do you? You recall you defined public sector reform? Please answer.
Yes, please.
And so, based on your own definition of public sector reform, are you able to apprise us, and you have received some due briefing from your ministry, some of the important interventions by the previous administration, which you had already agreed that given the nod, you are going to ensure continuation and sustenance? Would you be glad to run us through some of them that you find important and should be sustained going forward?
Thank you very much. What I'm going to mention is captured in the National Action Plan 4 and is co-created with the National Action Plan 5. Those were the achievements in the public sector when it was being overseen by the senior minister, Honorable Osofo-Maafo. I recall during the briefing, I heard there was some activities that was done with the passport office, DVLA, births and deaths, just to mention a few. And again, in legal terms, some laws were also passed, some acts were also passed during the implementation of the NAP 4. I think I've seen a couple of things that has been done. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm just rounding up on my questions. I'm rounding up. The advocacy on anti-corruption, and apart from the effectiveness, efficiency in the public sector that we've all been desirous of seeing, the call on anti-corruption is important. We have OSP, we have Attorney General, yet, the fight seems quite suspect. Going into this office, what are you bringing to the table towards the march fighting corruption in our country? What specific interventions would you want to undertake for you to be remembered for?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Some of the interventions I mentioned earlier is about the use of technology and innovation. Two is about engagement. Three is about capacity building of the employees or service providers. Thank you.
The success of our public sector reform interventions also depend on how we relate to the private sector. Do you agree to that?
Yes.
So, if you do agree, what interventions should we engage in to strengthen the dialogue between our public sector reform? Because if we reform our public sector and it doesn't cascade into our private sector reformation, it will be lopsided. So is it the case that you are not looking at it from just one angle? You're also looking at how the private sector and the public sector can both marry effectively.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Earlier on, I mentioned that the public sector cannot be reformed without engaging the private sector. So there should be an engagement between the public sector and the private sector. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, this will be my last one. Honorable Lydia, you know, a number of interventions have started by the previous administrations, including His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency Atamis. They all did something. They intervened one way or the other. So, with the benefit of hindsight, in terms of policy and legislation, specific to this, policy and legislation, what will you do differently?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. What I will do differently is to employ technology and innovation too, and then to engage with all the sectors.
Thank you very much, Leader. I'll now engage Honorable Achampon on the 217.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for coming back to me. Honorable Leader, congratulations. I have a quick intervention. You know, we live in a country where every worker or government employee is asking for better conditions of service. But nobody is talking about productivity. Do you have any plans to reorient the working class so that they will give out their best, increase productivity, so that they also get their share of the profitability that will be generated from their work?
Yes.
Thank you. Now I will let Honorable Roxanne, and then I'll come. Yeah, you're done. Yes, he just asked a question. Honorable Roxanne, please.
Chairman, thank you. My wife.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
And congratulations to you. I am certain that our children are watching you from nearby, and they are happy about your performance. I have no doubt you will succeed. Thank you. Now, public sector reforms. It took on this name from about 2005. But from between the middle of the 80s to the 90s, there have been major reforms in our public sector. And so by 2005, when President Kufuor was about to end his first term, as part of the African peer review mechanisms, an office ought to be created under the aegis of the then senior minister, if you recall. And so concrete, deliberate government policies were channeled or were implemented via that office. Now, we've had reforms and within the educational subsector. Today, university admissions are mostly online. When we were entering a university, you had to purchase the form and fill and submit. Today, it's no longer so. Admissions are communicated via cyberspace. When you pass your West African exams, West African Examination Council exams, you can access your results online. And when you are qualified to progress, GES has rolled out a platform called School Placement. And so you no longer travel to your school to ask your headmaster to admit you. You were placed, and then you only go for your admissions. Now, you no longer go to notice board to check whether you've been admitted or not. Land administration, major reforms. I recall championed by my own professor, Professor Kwame Jan, led the major land reforms. Land transactions are generally becoming smoother now, even though we still have bottlenecks. The judiciary. Today, court processes are filed online. Judgments are delivered via online. Or lawyers receive court judgments online. As part of our rules of procedure today, a defendant or a party to a case can be served online. Those are major reforms. In fact, as part of the first phase of the reforms, when the computerization project was introduced in the 90s, it led to the construction of the modern court complex in Accra under Professor Mills. Major reforms. And just a couple of months ago, the immediate past government was running or had an office for public sector reforms and had a project for reforms for performance. And it was led by the then senior minister, then senior presidential advisor on these matters. So, but the secretariat is there, they are operating. And our national program between 2018 and 2023, the 5-year program is ended. We need a new action plan. Will you consider finalizing that this year under your aegis so that we can have focused and improved sector reforms, especially even Parliament? We are about to go online. Consuls have been provided. Members of Parliament now can read proceedings on their consuls, correct votes and proceedings online. And statements of colleagues can also be posted online for members to comment on, so that this can be further improved Because for me, in the public sector, the only constant is positive reforms. Will you consider doing that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes. The NAP 4 is ending in June, and the NAP 3, the NAP 5 has already started. It's supposed to start this February. So by the end of December, or at the end of the year, we are supposed to assess the implementation of the NAP 5. And it's one of the briefs that I had from the Secretariat.
Good. One other area within our public subsector that I think also will need your attention in terms of policy implementation is our BEVs and DEVs registry. I think you should consider rolling out a program where BEVs are captured contemporaneously, records of childbirth. They are captured and certificates are produced contemporaneously. You don't have to go for weeks and months before you get the certificate for the birth of your child. So should be DEVs. So that in our hinterlands, with an app, when the event occurs, it's entered, it's registered online, and a certificate online is generated. So this pension for people for amending birth certificates or date of births to cheat the system will stop. I believe if you do that, it will generate revenue, it will bring sanity, it will bring major reforms in that subsector. Because you recall, the issue of birth certificate became a subject of a Supreme Court matter for which there's existing decision. Will you consider doing that for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes. And if you look at it currently, you can register your health insurance online. So it can be done. Thank you.
And finally, will you consider introducing some reforms in our school feeding program so that we can monitor how the implementation of that program is impacting the schools? Because as a member of the Public Accounts Committee, a lot of issues have been raised regarding the actual impacts on our children in the schools. So that, for instance, where a caterer is supposed to provide meals to the DA primary school in Todome, in Southern, a simple app should be able to tell that, yes, today, Monday, the caterer did provide meals and of a certain quality to the children. It will cut the issues of caterers being given money to provide food, and yet they don't provide the right quantities, the right quality. The app will be a monitoring mechanism for circuit supervisors to tell whether this a social intervention program is being delivered as intended by government or not.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes. If we are able to provide the infrastructure that will help us to monitor the school feeding and other things, it will go a long way to bring accountability and transparency in the system. Thank you.
Finally, the other area I want you to consider reforming is again within schools, but the secondary school subsector. Feeding or provision of food items to our secondary schools. It's a major focus of the Auditor General. And within the past couple of years, he's flagged in many schools, because the center may direct that, for instance, Peking Secondary School should be provided with 100 bags of rice. The supplier ends up providing 60 bags of rice. Because they need the food, they are unable to reject. They hope that the shortfall of 40 bags will come. It never comes. But if you roll out some reforms in terms of an app to monitor, to track when these food items are supplied, we can check that the correct quantities are supplied and on time, and also the quality. You must have heard recently that there were issues raised by the Auditor General regarding some expired food items provided to some schools. This reform that I'm asking you to consider implementing will also check that the quality of the food, the items, the efficacy, everything, manufactured, everything will be checked. So we can have an instantaneous way of determining if anybody will want to cheat the system. You consider reviewing that system for us, won't you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I said earlier, I will work with the communication minister so that we provide the infrastructure that can do that for us. Thank you.
Chairman, on this note, I want to wish my wife all the best. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief. I will now come to my left again and engage Honorable Patricia. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, I hear I'm supposed to call my wife in quotes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Lydia, adding my voice to the numerous people who have congratulated you. And I must say that I'm proud of you as an individual who, among the very few women that have been appointed, I know people are asking because, yes, and I must say that somewhere in February, sometime last week or so, you faced a criticism from a private legal practitioner in the person of Martin Pebu, who questioned your suitability for the role of the Minister of State for Public Sector Reforms. Mr. Pebu argued that based on your credential, you lack the necessary experience to lead the ministry effectively. Do you think this comment stems from the patriarchal nature of Ghana? And if not, how are you going to position yourself to prove him wrong? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, my sister, for that observation. It is when people are in the public domain, everybody has the right to express his or her opinion. I started my career as a staff nurse, rose to the rank of a senior nursing officer. I have been in the public service for not less than 15 years. From there, I went to NADMO. I worked as a senior disaster management officer. my responsibility at the ministry is to collaborate and provide leadership so that the structures at the ministry will work. The president has interacted with me. He knows my capabilities, and I don't think he has made a mistake by appointing me as a public sector reform minister. And I want to assure Ghanaians and lawyer Martin Pebu that if it is about your experience, they would have asked professors to be the president of this country because they have a lot of experience, they have learned a lot, or the Minister for Health should have been a professor in health and not any other person. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. Honorable nominee. Honorable Chair. Honorable nominee. You provided us with your task clearance certificate, and I made an observation on it. And I realized that in 2023, you paid more taxes than in 2024. If I go through your CV, you don't have any extra business going for you. And I believe that maybe we'll have to cross-check and find out what kind of information did you provide them to give you that kind of, because the 2024, you paid something far less than what you paid in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my sister. What really happened in 2023 was that the previous years, I didn't file my tax returns. So I was given a penalty to pay, and that rose the figure to that level. Thank you.
Rightly so. There's something that I normally do, and it's since you are going to undertake public sector reforms, one of the questions that I would like to ask you, my sister, is whether you are very conversant with the Affirmative Action Act. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my sister. Mr. Chairman, yes, I was part of the discussions. If you remember, when we went to Koforidua together, I was a friend to the committee and I was part of the discussion. I can't read all the sections in that bill, but at least I have some knowledge about the Affirmative Action Bill. And it was one of the achievements of the NAP4 in 2023 and 2024. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Then to follow up, may I know what you are going to do? Because you are very much aware that women's participation in politics and leadership still remains very low. So what initiatives will you push to encourage more women to take up those leadership roles? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, my sweet sister. I myself am a role model. If I give you my story, you would like to be like me. So I'm going to mentor young ladies in that ministry to become what they themselves aspire to be, and to encourage them. In the old English language, they will say the sky is the limit. But to me, there is something beyond the sky that you can go. And I will tell them so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are you aware that under clause 15, there's a specific activity that your sector will have to undertake to ensure the gender equity or inequality, finally? And therefore, and then also make reference to the third schedule. So, my honorable nominee, I would like to find out from you, what exactly will you be doing? Because there's a specific responsibility for you to undertake that action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned earlier, I've not been able to go through, and I cannot remember everything that is in that act. But as you have brought to my attention, I will go and read and practice it and make sure that whatever has been provided there is achieved for the interest of women and for the interest of gender. Thank you.
That's exactly what I wanted to achieve. If it's happening on your blind side, I want to bring you to speed on that. And one aspect that we are also trying as much as possible to ensure that there will be reforms in that is that what strategies will your office adopt to ensure public funds are equitably allocated to programs specifically targeting welfare and women and children? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the ministry, I think there are already programs and policies at the ministry that is also geared towards women and gender issues. And when, by God's grace, I am approved, I will make sure that I will carry on the latter. Thank you.
And finally, Honorable, we are very much aware of how you became an MP. And you have been found on record to indicate that you have performed far better than your predecessor. Could you please let us into what difference you have made in that respect? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My sister wants to know the activities that I've carried on in my constituency. My constituency is a vast constituency. I have a lot of activities to my credit. Currently, I have 2 chiefs compounds to my credit. I have given the constituency its facelift for 1 chief's compound. I have produced 500 floor decks for the schools. I have 172 students that are supported for the past 4 years. I have helped the education office for them to run their system because sometimes their money doesn't come early. I can go on and on and on, but just to mention a few. If you really want to know what I've done, I can provide that to you on paper. Thank you very much.
And finally, Mr. Chair, listening to you, answering questions from our various MPs who are here, contributors to your vetting, I realize that you've always been talking about the introduction of technology. But let me come into this specific issue. You've come under a very good exposure from our chief whip in the person of Honorable Dafiama. Honorable, the Akufo-Addo government started the digitalization agenda. Digital transformation has the potential to revolutionize public service delivery. Yet many regions in Ghana still struggle with limited access to modern digital infrastructure. What initiative will your office pursue to modernize government operations, and how will you ensure that these digital advancements benefit both the urban and the remote communities across Ghana? Thank you.
Honorable nominee, just a second. Honorable Leader, His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo continued the digitalization agenda that's long started, and President's contributed to it. Thank you.
Yes, duly amended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. During one of my answers, I mentioned that digitalization is a key driver to our public sector. But I cannot just say that I'm going to leverage on digitalization alone. It is from the Ministry of Communication that will provide the needed infrastructure, that will provide the needed communication gadgets that we can leverage on to be able to bring reforms into the public sector. Thank you.
I wish you all the best, my sister.
I'm grateful, my sister.
Thank you very much. I will now invite the Honorable Minority Leader, and then after I will wrap it up. Thank you.
Honorable nominee, on your CV, your last date of employment as a nurse was in 1998. Do you maintain that?
Thank you, Chairman. I don't know which page my senior leader is talking about.
Page 2 of your CV.
Page 2 of my CV says that
Educational background.
educational background, my last
The other institutions.
yeah, but my last educational
And then you indicated the employment. So I just want you to help me on that. That's why I said, do you maintain that?
yes.
Okay. Now, you went to Central University to pursue a Bachelor of Science in Nursing between 2009 and 2011, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Were you on steady leave with pay, or you went on your own?
Please, I was on steady leave with pay.
Now go back to work experience. You have indicated that you worked between 2009 and 2011 as a nursing officer, Presbyterian Hospital, Boko, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So, in other words, you left the nursing profession in 2011, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
You benefited from steady leave with pay, and upon graduation, you left the service, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
The state sponsored your studies, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And after the state has sponsored your studies, you left the system, correct?
Mr. Chairman, I didn't leave the system. I was not working as a nurse. I continue my education.
No, Honorable Nominee, I am dealing with what you have stated on your own CV. So take it easy with me and appreciate what I'm saying. On your CV, work experience. In fact, you have signed on that page to authenticate the records, correct? Yeah, I need you to answer for Hansa.
Yes, please.
Yes. You benefited from steady leave with pay between 2009 to 2011, correct?
What
Bachelor
really,
of Science in Nursing.
Nursing.
Yes.
What really happened was that I went to school in 2009, and my salary was stopped in 2010.
Did you take a steady leave with pay?
I took a steady leave with pay, but Boko Hospital didn't sign for me because it's a church institution, not a government institution. It was under the administration of the president.
So what about 2011?
2011, I sponsored myself in the school. Thank you.
So you left the system soon thereafter,
Yes, please.
after graduation. So how many years did you practice as a nurse? So your public service experience as a nurse is 11 years, correct?
Yes, please.
You okay or no? Ni ngbefa ni otayega.
Over no me or your colleague on come. Can you mean?
You no chunu ye jame.
Over that no me ya school.
Ini le na ote bokuno ya ote school ye jame, correct?
Over any middle school na. Ni ya chano ye new driving. Ngbe new driving na. Ninte transfer ya send my secondary school ni ya bina. Ni ya chano ya boko nurses training college. Ning be ne ta cholete 6 form na.
When Honorable Patricia Pioje was asking you a question, she conditioned her question. You did not condition your answer. I want to give you an opportunity to clarify. To help you, she said you had publicly stated somewhere that you have done far better than your predecessor. and the predecessor we know is your late husband. In your answer, you succeed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm not done. Your predecessor, in this context, as I want to understand, is your late husband. Would you want to clarify who the predecessor you are referring to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My predecessor is not my late husband. My predecessor is the former Deputy Minister of Justice and Attorney General. Yes.
Okay.
Honorable Kinka.
Okay, that's all right. He did one term. And
yes, please.
Your my dear did how many terms?
He also did one term.
So your issue of having done far better is only limited to Penkwa, not your husband, correct?
Yes, please.
Why take it that it was a political statement? It was a political statement. You didn't really mean it.
It's yes and no.
You had an issue with Mr. Martin Kwebu's comments.
No, please.
No, you did, because you said if it were to be so, then we should be having professors to man our ministries, and the health minister should have been a professor. Are you therefore suggesting that you need to only be a professor to have the requisite knowledge? I just wanted to understand what you meant. Honorable Member of Parliament seated right by the nominee, be reminded that the nominee is on oath, and if you will be engaging in this, you will not be helping. No, please, Honorable. He's capable. She's very capable, please. She's very capable. Yes. Yes, proceed. I'm done with the question. I'm saying that you were suggesting that it only takes a professor to be considered for a political office. That's the impression I got.
Not really, but if his statement says that I don't have the requisite experience, I believe that he meant somebody who has the experience, a professor who has the experience in public sector.
Okay. Now, you indicated on your CV that you read LLB at Mount Crest. You were done in 2016. Why didn't you do the bar?
Thank you very much. I tried bar exams, but unfortunately somewhere along the line, I had private issues, and came the big blow when my husband passed. So I didn't have that requisite mind to study, but I'll still go back and write. Thank you.
All right. Try and pursue the bar exam. So I'm sure you want to be called to the bar someday.
Thank you very much, Senior, for your...
I'm sure you want to be called to the bar someday.
Yes.
Very well.
Thank you.
Are you really interested in this, your nursing profession at all?
I am. Leader, thank you.
should there be a change of mind by His Excellency the President to move you to the Ministry of Health, how would you find it conducive to your profession as a nurse?
Thank you very much. I will still work perfectly at the ministry because I still have the experience. Thank you.
You have been on the countryside, and on this point, let me say that Honorable Ladi made a submission on the floor. I sat there and I was very touched when she spoke with passion about healthcare professionals in our rural communities and how our people are suffering. Is it really the case in your area?
Yes, please.
So would you encourage more recruitment of nurses in our deprived communities?
Yes.
Would you find it disturbing, a situation where, as you stated, there is a need to recruit more nurses, and that nurses have been recruited who are working, saving lives, and for some irregularities, supposedly, these nurses have to be sent home, as in dismissed? Would you find that disturbing? Because anytime a nurse is absent from a community, a life is in danger. You would agree with me on that?
Thank you very much.
I want you to answer without a partisan political hat. And your objectivity and your sincerity will shorten the process. I mean, I know you are a very sincere person.
Yes, I will be hurt.
Thank you.
If somebody should die because a nurse didn't come to work.
That assured, would you, as a public officer, I'm not even saying you being a minister of state, and I say so because only yesterday we were in government, and there were things that publicly we couldn't come out to say, critique our government, but in-house we could make suggestions to government that, oh, this particular policy, we hold the view that it could be varied, it could be done this way. Considering your peculiar challenge in your own constituency and elsewhere that you know, would you engage government to have a second look at this directive to terminate the appointment of nurses who were recruited after the elections?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think, respectfully, my senior colleague and leader, I've answered these questions sincerely, that it is about engagement, it's about understanding the issues, it's about we having a collective agreement as to how we recruit people into our services. That would help us. Thank you very much.
Now, we obtained some information as part of our background check. And, you know, adverse findings about us or comments about us are like a bitter pill on our tongue. All of us politicians. Sometimes we are in self-denial But those are bitter pills for healing. So take it in good faith. The little exercise I'm going to do. Is that okay? Don't be emotional about it. So your constituents were interviewed. And this is what they had to say about you. She is described as competent and capable leader with the ability to mobilize the grassroots. However, some of her constituents perceived her as indecisive, making her susceptible to external influences. This is a perception, but we are also in a perception-driven enterprise. Having heard this, and having regard to the fact that you are going to lead a public sector reform, what assurances do you have for those who perceive you as indecisive?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I believe that when people are interviewed, everybody has something to say. There's a good side of me, they said I'm capable. So I want to assure you that I am capable of handling the ministry that I'll be going to take. Thank you.
The next one, we are all sinners. And for the next question, I'm sure all of us, the 275 of us in the chamber, will be considered guilty of this crime. However, you are on oath, so I would put it out. A section of NDC party supporters and sympathizers have accused her of not answering their calls. What do you say to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My leader has already answered the question for me. He said we are all sinners. And I pray that those people that I didn't answer their calls will forgive me. Thank you.
But what assurances have you for them?
And what remedial measures? I will work on it and I will now answer their calls.
Now, can honorable nominee, let me suggest to you what I have done. Maybe it will help. Sincerely speaking, it is practically difficult to answer all calls. However, we, this generation, have the benefit of this social media. So I have employed some gentlemen who are managing that communication and are getting swift responses, from the office and getting the problems resolved. At least not 100%, but at least they are always responding to the phone call and relaying and responding. So I think you can adopt it with the necessary modification to suit your peculiar situation in your area. So try it. It's worked for me because it can be very overwhelming, so that's about it. However, they conclude by saying that you are known to be calm, a good listener, polite, respectful, and you relate well with people, especially your chiefs. So I would want you to take that, as a compliment and take advantage of those virtues to do your work. Now, there is also an issue that I need to bring to your attention. One of your own referees, you have provided referees, and one of your referees describes you as humble, respectful, but states strongly that you ought to be assertive in your dealings. Your own referees, one of them. It says that you are humble, respectful, but you ought to be assertive in your dealings. What do you say to that?
Thank you very much for all the narration and the compliments. Those who reveal who I am, I'm grateful. Once somebody says something about you, the person wants you to work on it. I will work, I will do everything diligently in my power to work on all those my flaws. Thank you.
Honorable nominee, you have just been nominated for this public sector reform portfolio. By the way, where is your office going to be located? You said you received some briefing and all. Where are you going to have as your office?
Thank you very much. My office is just opposite the Ministry of Finance, an extension of the President.
Okay, that's story building.
Thank you.
Very well. Now, the NDC manifesto, do you have with you?
No, please.
Should I give you an opportunity to have it, take it? Can we excuse you to bring the manifesto to the table? Because we have some very important questions to ask about the blueprint that brought you to power. Chairman, may we grant nominee leave to have with her the manifesto of her party.
Granted.
Thank you.
Please, Madam Nominee, please sit, please. Yeah, unless you want to stretch. The veteran of Lydia Lamisi Akanvariba is the Minister of State designate for Public Sector Reforms. She's taken leave of the appointment committee to grab a copy of the NDC's manifesto as the minority leader takes his turn to ask a number of questions in relation to what her role will be as the Minister designate for Public Sector Reforms. And it's been, 2+ hours, if I'm not mistaken, since the process started. I was seeing Jerry Ahmed Shaib walk through the picture there. And Madam Lydia Lamisi Akanvariba is a member of Parliament for the
Timpani constituency as well. And like I was telling you, she's just taken leave of the committee to grab a copy of the NDC's manifesto at this particular point in time. But on matters of where she's going to be headed to, public sector reforms, an area that has been on the front burner for quite a while. There's a general consensus and a general understanding that the country's public sector requires a certain level of reform, but interestingly, over the last few years, the scope and how these reforms will come about has not well and quite truly been ironed out effectively for the necessary action to be seen and the necessary reform to come to life. And so questions asked to her, she's been quite brief in her responses all through since she appeared before the vetting committee, not wanting to waste any time at all in seeking to expatiate a lot on the things that she's been asked, just briefly and succinctly as possible, answering the questions that have been posed to her. You're live here on TV3, where we're bringing you details from the committee rooms 1 and 2 in Parliament, where the Appointments Committee of the 9th Parliament is vetting deputy ministerial and also minister-designate as well. Currently before the committee is Lydia Lamisi Akanvareba, who is expected or is headed towards the Ministry of Public Sector Reforms. Shortly, she should be returning, but we see Alexander Penyomarkin with the Vice Chair of the committee, Kweku Ricketts-Hagan, in a conversation of some sort at this particular point in time as they await the return of Madame Akanvareba, who has asked for some time to get a copy of the NDC manifesto, and suspicion is that the minority leader, Alexander Penyomarkin, will be asking specific or direct questions with respect to her ministry, what she's expected to do while in that office, and so perhaps reference will be made to that particular committee. Let's take you back there right now.
You have it? We should wait, okay. Wait for the manifesto. That's what she just said. Honorable, please speak for the records. Honorable member wanted to know. Honorable nominee, please speak into the mic that you need more time to make your manifesto available.
Please wait, the manifesto is coming.
Please, do you have the manifesto nearby? Oh, okay.
Yes,
so
please.
You have the manifesto. Now, this document that has been handed over to you, is this your first time of seeing it? The one that has just been brought to you?
No, please.
So, take us to the provision in this document that deals with public sector reforms. We can do some other exercise so that you can patiently take your time. Is that okay? Should we proceed so that you can take your time and check it later?
Yes, please.
Okay. Were you involved in the manifesto enactment, in the process of enacting your party's manifesto? Were you part of the process? Yes, no.
No.
Chairman, that will be all for the nominee.
Thank you very much. Honorable nominee, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I know that we hold the manifesto dear to our heart, but it's not a driving license that you have to carry around. So if you don't have it, it's okay, but if you have it, it's fine.
Mr. Chairman, respectfully, I left it in my office.
That's great. Just, I want to follow up on a question leader asked you about if you should lose your work. I remember I'm sure you remember the question. In the circumstance he described, will you be sad? And you said yes. Now, let me ask you the same question in another way. If you lose your job under the same circumstance he described, but you find out later that the proper process was not followed for you to get a job, and that you probably got a job at the expense of someone, would you still be sad?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned earlier that we had issues at the public services because of political interference and political influence. We have favoritism. We have people that we've employed that are not supposed to be employed. So if, for instance, I was employed in a way that I'm not supposed to, I will not be sad, because that amounts to corruption, and that amounts to inaccountability. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this juncture, thank you very much. At this juncture, I think that we have exhausted all the questions, on the floor this morning. And
Chairman, with respect, except that in good faith, I yielded to you. But if next time you surprise me by playing number 7, the situation will be different. I rest my case.
Thank you, leader. At this juncture, I will go on to mention the names of friends and family who joined you this morning to support you. I have here Boko Naba's representative, Tempani Naba, Naba Abugiri Kletos. Then I have Professor Amedu Ayebo. Then a third is Chiano P. Thomas Moore, the third, Chairman of the Upper East Regional House of Chiefs and Council of State. Number 4 is NDC Upper East Regional Chairman, Alaji Mumuni Bolnaba. Mr. Prince Atan Idrisu, Tempani Constituency Chairman, Madam Telma Esiama, Chief Director, Public Sector Secretariat, Fazia Yakubu, Upper East Regional Women Organizer, former regional
and
minister,
that's the the reading out of dignitaries who accompanied Madame Lydia Lamisia Kamvareba, the Member of Parliament for the Timpani constituency, was also Minister of State Designate for Public Sector Reforms, who's appeared before the Appointments Committee. We're expecting the next nominee to make an appearance before the committee, but while we wait to do that, we can bring you headlines in relation to other stories coming up in wait of the next nominee, and those are going to come up on your screens right now. "15 excavators seized as Lands Minister tours mining areas in the Ashanti region. Forest reserves and water bodies have been declared as no-go areas."
Public sector reforms who face the Appointments Committee as members raise concerns over mass revocation of recent recruitments.
A lot later, National Intelligence Bureau begins wide-scale probe of former government officials as 2 arrests have so far been made. We have details. Welcome to the abridged version of News Central today. We'll continue in the vetting, but in the meanwhile, we're bringing you some stories. I am Mawina Ekbeka.
And I am Kemeni Amano. Let's get into those stories now. Parliament is where we're going again. The Minister Designate for Public Sector Reform, Lydia Lamisia Kamvareba, has just faced the committee, and she said that some people employed by the NPP administration was due to favoritism and nepotism. Others, she says, simply do not deserve assigned roles. This was a response to questions about the recent revocation of appointments by government when she faced the Appointments Committee of Parliament. Christian Yale is in Parliament for us, joins us with a bit more from there. Chris, good afternoon to you. Tell us what other questions she's been answering.
Exactly, Kemini. So she's been talking largely about the kind of reforms she's going to undertake in the public sector, basically mentioning, for instance, that she is going to work hand in hand with the Communications Ministry to leverage on digitalization to ensure that a lot of works that usually delay due to the human process or the human element are dealt with. So digitalization, and she, for instance, acknowledges work or works that have been done by the previous administration in ensuring that public sector and the reforms thereof are effective. But largely, members on the minority side who are on the committee have raised questions, just like you mentioned, about the recent revocation of recruitment and appointment. She sadly ignores answering the main question about what her take is on that, but mentions that whatever reforms or policy directions the government initiate, she would work on those ones to ensure that the public sector is tight. And so going forward, she is just going to operate based on government policy and what the government says. But the point she notes is that there have been a lot of nepotisms and favoritisms in the recruitment process in the public sector, which have raised dire concerns, for which reason partly the new government has revoked a lot of these appointments. And so she's proposing that a national dialogue is held to ensure that the processes involved in hiring and recruiting people into the public sector are well looked at, Kemini.
I see, Christian, thank you so much for talking to us. But let's stay on the subject of revocation of appointments. And as you may be aware, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program has directed all staff not to report today. This is due to unresolved legal and administrative issues related to employment and salary payments. Noble Crosby-Annan is at the offices of the NEIP, and he joins us with a bit more from there. Noble, good afternoon to you. Let's talk about today at the NEIP. No staff at work. What's happening there? Well, Noble will join us in a tad, but right now he's having an engagement with a staff of the NEIP.
So management decided that the best thing to do is to make sure that these appointments or this employment are suspended temporarily for the restructuring process to come to an end. We are hopeful that when we finish the restructuring process, a number of them who have worked with this program for 5-6 years, if we have valuable skill set that we can use to make sure that His Excellency John Romama agenda to reset the country comes into fruition. So it's a temporal measure to make sure that we have space to do the restructuring of the program.
How many staff did you inherit, and how did you come by the total number of employees?
Okay, so from the HR department, as at January, when Erika J came, had a total population of 32. As I said, it's a special purpose vehicle, an ad hoc initiative to champion the presidency's flagship initiative. So we don't have regional offices, it's just this office in Accra. There are no regional offices. So 32, but for whatever reasons, 12 of the 32 decided to vacate posts. Before Eric took over, 12 of the staff had already vacated posts.
So they left after the December 7 election?
Yes. They did not write formally to say, okay, we are no longer interested in working because of ABC, we cannot continue. They just vacated posts. So he inherited about 20. Then along the line, one left. So this entire memo dealt with only 19 members.
Okay.
Only 19.
So 19 have been suspended, if you like.
Yes.
What are the indications that they will be brought back, and when will that be?
Well, the indications are that we need institutional memory, so we can't just, after the restructuring process, we populate the program with new staff. We will still want to run with some of the staff of the old administration because governance is continuing. We are not coming to throw the entire NEP away. Leadership has changed, but the vision, the focus of NEP hasn't changed. So definitely, some will be brought back anytime soon. Based on what is needed to make sure that NEP is reset to do what necessary to want this to do.
You know when
delivery
when that will be
to the
when could they be brought back?
So as I said, it's a restructuring process. I'm unable to give any timelines for now, but so far so good in terms of what John Roma is doing by way of timelines. We are giving instructions to make sure that this restructuring process ends anytime soon, so that we can go out there and start rolling out some of the initiatives that the president has for the people of this country. So no sooner than later, the process will come to an end. And if we need more hands, we'll add more hands to those who are suspended. If there's a need that some of those who are suspended don't come to join us because of the restructuring process, because government size has been downsized. So you can't expect NEP to have a superfluous or a very huge staff. No. If we need to do with 10, we'll do with 10. If you don't need 19, we won't bring 19 people here.
Okay.
Government is doing with 60. If there's need that we even do 5 people here, we'll do with the 5.
When were they drawing their salaries from, and what was the structure like? You mentioned that they take allowances. What's the source of it?
So, as I said, the program was an office of the president to run special initiatives. They were given operational funds to run these initiatives. It's from these operational funds that were used to pay these workers allowances, monthly allowance. So it's from the operational funds of NEP that was used to pay the allowance in quotes.
You mentioned that what was happening was an illegality. So this new administration, do they have plans of pursuing it further? Follow up on with prosecutions maybe?
So once again, it's a restructuring process. These are preliminary findings. We'll be referring whatever we find here to the Attorney General Department and other bodies that have the mandate to do these things. So on our part, what we see in face value is that certain things are not in line with the best practice that we've accepted as a country. So we think that things have to be done differently. But what will be done with those irregularities, those illegalities that some of the previous administration staff even think that it shouldn't be done because, for example, one of their former directors, upon Brenya, thinks that the process has not been in line with the right legal framework. He believes that what has been done previously is not right. So we are taking the right steps. People from the previous administration think that this is the best step for them to help us to have a legal framework, to help us to recognize it in the interest of the suspended staff. Because
Oh, you heard from Sunday Kampoli, Director for Research and Innovation at the NEIP, giving us some more insight on the revocation of some appointments there at the NEIP. He talks about 19 people being suspended, no timelines associated with the suspension so far as to when they will return to work. But he also says that after investigations conclude, the results of the investigation will be referred to appropriate agencies.
Let's return to one of the top stories for you this afternoon, where in a renewed fight against illegal mining, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has issued a stern warning to individuals and groups who attempt to mine on water bodies and forest reserves. The Minister, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, has declared war against illegal miners, saying no one, regardless of political affiliation, would be spared if they decide to mine in these restricted zones. A joint military task force has successfully moved out all miners in the Ofin Shelter Belt Forest Reserve within the Nkawie Forest District in the Ashanti region. Some individuals have been arrested and 15 excavators seized. My colleague Ibrahim Abubakar has been following. The team is joining us right now via the phone lines with a bit more. Let's connect with him. Ibrahim, widespread action being taken by the regional minister in the Ashanti region, being backed now by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. Talk to us about the operations underway in the region and how successful it's been thus far.
Well, Mauna, so as I speak to you, the military has been deployed in almost all the forest reserves within the region. And talk about the Nkawie Forest Reserve, we have about 7 that have so far been invaded by these illegal miners. And we've seen the military being sent there to move all of them out. Currently, the Ofin Shelter Belt Forest Reserve, they have been successful with the operation there. But even with that, within a space of a month or two, these miners have been able to destroy about 30 hectares of the forest reserve. And this has been quite worrying. We also have the Asinayo Forest Reserve, the Jimera Forest Reserve. Now, the minister is saying this is part of their strategy to reclaim all the 44 forest reserves that have been invaded by these illegal miners. And this is something they want to sustain. In this time around, they do not want to focus on only the miners there, but they want to go beyond that and also fish out the site owners and financiers of these operations so that they will also be brought to book. In fact, he said, as a ministry, they are not against mining. They've brought out clear means of doing responsible mining, but then they will not spare anyone who will go ahead and conduct in any form of illegal mining activity. Let's listen to what Kofi Amabua has been telling the media after the operation.
Right.
The reason why we live. This is why we breathe. This is where we get everything that will keep us as human beings alive. So when you see this devastation at the heart of the Ofin River, which takes its source from here, what few of our own people are doing to us is that they have come to basically kill us where it matters most. My message to our young people who want to do mining is that there's a pathway for doing the right mining. But we are not going to spare anybody who ventures to do illegal mining in our forest reserve. And we've made it clear, in the coming weeks, you will see steps being taken by the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology to Parliament, basically forever repeal 2463, taking away even the power of the president to grant anybody licenses to mine in forest reserve. It is gone. there is not going to be any more. And so my message today, having reclaimed this shelter belt on the Fin, is to all of the thugs that are in all the other 43 forest reserves. We are coming to you. We are coming after you. The chain of people who are involved, the investigation has commenced, and thanks to the effort of the investigators, we are tracking them all the way to their financiers and to those who sell or rent those excavators. They are all going to face the full rigors of the law.
Sure, these are words that would excite a lot of the environmentalists as the Lands and Natural Resources Minister announces that they are coming after all illegal miners. So take us on to our very first break here on News Central. We'll return with a bit more stories. Please do stay.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply
An upgrade is nice, but a double upgrade is amazing. And that's how we do it. Upgrade today to get even more with Step Up. If you're on GoTV Max and upgrade to GoTV Super, you'll get way more with GoTV Super Plus.
That's so cool!
Get big value. Get big entertainment.
Very good.
Perfect! Upgrade and get even more with GoTV.
Man.
GoTV. Love it.
Through every step of life's unpredictable journey, every moment counts. That's why you need a partner you can always trust for solutions, so you can be rest assured. Having impacted over 200,000 lives, processed over 4.2 million claims, partnered with over 400 corporations, paid out over 836 million Ghana cedis in claims, contracted over 1,600 healthcare facilities nationwide, and pioneered several innovations like free medicine delivery, an interactive mobile app, and more. You'll be surprised what can be accomplished in 20 years. We're part of the Nationwide family. Are you? Nationwide Medical Insurance, 20 years of leading the way.
Achimota School, the beacon of leadership, bounteous fountain of excellence and discipline, prodigious source of living water to a thirsty land, proudly celebrates its 98th Founders Day, organized by the OA 75, 85, 2000 year groups with an exciting lineup of activities. Join us on Wednesday, 5th March as the 75 and 85 year groups hand over their legacy project donated to the school. 1.5 million cedis worth of science equipment as part of a STEM fund for Achimota School. The originators of the Bonfire Night then put on a show on Friday, 7th March, an entertaining carnival comprising a torchlight procession, Bonfire Night, masqueraders, and a spectacular brass band, all hosted by the 2000 year group Y2G. Saturday, 8th March is the big day when we host an impressive cadet corps display at 8:30 a.m. crowned with the ever popular Founders Day Derby at 2 p.m. We finish with the Thanksgiving service on the 9th of March at the iconic Agri Chapel. Let's come together to honor the founders of Ghana's greatest school. These events are proudly powered by OA 75, 85, 2000. See you at Achimota School, where leaders are made. Ebafigbe.
When the sun rises, there is hope. While this hope lingers on, the citizens look up to the government, the economy, the national development agenda, and everything in between. On Ghana Tonight, it's our utmost priority to bring you insightful conversations on the economy, break down the biggest issues while setting the agenda for transformation and national development. The big and important stories are treated from the human interest angle, while the facts and the figures are painted with precision. So now, let's cut the convention and start the conversation here on Ghana Tonight. I am your host, Alfred Okamsi.
Ghana Tonight shows Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Through every step of life's unpredictable journey, every moment counts. That's why you need a partner you can always trust for solutions, so you can be rest assured. Having impacted over 200,000 lives, processed over 4.2 million claims, partnered with over 400 corporations, paid out over 836 million Ghana cedis in claims, contracted over 1,600 healthcare facilities nationwide, and pioneered several innovations like free medicine delivery, an interactive mobile app, and more. You'll be surprised what can be accomplished in 20 years. We're part of the Nationwide family. Are you? Nationwide Medical Insurance, 20 years of leading the way.
Welcome back. It's still News Central live here on TV3. Let's get into some other stories now. President John Dramani Mahama says government will have to cough out $1.7 billion to complete the Agenda 111 hospital projects started under the previous administration. It is also emerging from the president that only one of the hospitals is complete or was completed at the time the Nanado government exited office. At a meeting with the Christian Council, the president is encouraging the church to partner government to complete the rest of the hospitals and operationalize them.
When I was president, I made a statement that we're going to move to a situation where if the missions have a hospital in an area, we're not going to come and compete with the mission by building another hospital. We'd rather use the resources to improve the mission hospital so that they provide service. Unfortunately, that was not followed in Agenda 111. So there are many places where you have a mission hospital. We could have used that money to upgrade the facilities in the mission hospital. Government has gone to start a hospital, has not been able to finish it, and they are sitting there, some at foundation level, some at lintel level, and so many of them, almost 90 hospitals. We need 1.7 billion to be able to complete the hospitals. The one that they said they commissioned, there's nothing in it, just one hospital. They finished the structure, but there's not even a bed in the hospital. And so we discussed it a bit in cabinet, but the Minister of Health is going to come with a paper to see what we do. You know, I believe that if some of the missions are interested, we could get them to finish the hospital and manage the hospital and provide the service, you know, so that government too can find it to be a mix. We can also raise money and finish some, but the mission hospitals too can take some and complete them and run the hospital.
Now there'll be more on the Agenda 111 hospitals.
Yeah, exactly.
Later.
Yeah, and the fact that the president is courting missions to, if possible, pick up some of these hospitals and complete, and that just one has been completed is a bit interesting. But anyways, we will continue to bring you live details of the ongoing vetting of ministerial nominees. We know that the Deputy Finance Minister nominee, the Honorable Ampim Nyako, is next. He's not yet before the committee. When it comes up, we'll be live there and bring you details. I am Awina Egbeta. I am
Kemeni Amano. The afternoon show is next. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are ready, let's bring on the girl.
Ready if you wind up, me body coming, no walk one, the queen of Jamaica.